Morning of our late minister that passed away last week, and government officials, politicians, men, women of the cloth and the general public expecting, or you can see now, to pack the University of Fort Hare Sports Centre, where the funeral service will be taking place for the Reverend Stofile, who passed away at his home on Monday last week. For the latest now, let's cross to our reporter who is there live, Iviwe Poti. She's at Fort Hare University in the Eastern Cape. My goodness, there, Iviwe, we can see the crowds already gathering. The service underway?
Good morning, Leanne, and definitely good morning to the viewers as well. What I can tell you right now is that a number of people are starting to trickle in, definitely those that were at the family house earlier on. Apparently the hearse has also arrived. We're waiting for family members to also start gathering in. There's quite a large number of people that have come through. We've seen ambassadors come through. We've seen, people from the ANC Women's League, as well as leaders of South Africa and those previous learners from Fort Hare University in their blazers, coming to pay their last tributes. But I think for now, let's also cross upstairs to the marquee, where Tammy Dixon is also standing by.
Well, thank you very much, Iviwe. Welcome and good morning as we come to you live from this great, iconic institution of Fort Hare, as we welcome now the hearse that carries the body of the late struggle icon, Umfundisi Makhenkesi Stofile. With me now, I've got one of his friends, Utata Usingata Mafanya, who actually knew Uprastof very well. Tatu Mafanya, Ngalumzuzu, what are your thoughts as the hearse arrives now at this institution carrying the body of the late Stofile?
Sasazi ayikholeleki indoba uthahla ngoku siyakumbeka, kodwa ke inyaniso yoba kunjalo. Ndawusoloko ndimkhumbula uthahle njengendoda enenyani, njengomntu obakhathaleleyo abanye abantu,
Caring for the people,
especially abantu bezilali, impula zikalujaca, uthahle ibindoda enenyani, engenanyani situational, ibe inyani namhlanje xa kukhubani, ingabe yonyani ngomso, kuyinyani ibiba inyani ngalo lonke ixesha. So ndakumkhumbula uthahle, an accomplished administrator uthahle, sasihlala sonke ayona singabafundi, sidlala ibhola sonke irugby, ndoda enesibindi, simnyama esala ndoda isibindi, ubithe into izawuyenza iza kuyenza come what may, kunjalo nje ayimele ndoda enomqolo.
Thank you very much, Tat Mafanya, as we release you. Well, that's Mr. Singata Mafanya, who is also going to be one of the program directors here, telling us about how he remembers the late Makhenkesi Stofile as a man who stood by his word, as a man who was not flip-flopping on his ideas. He's a man who was truthful, who didn't change because of the situation, whose truth does not depend on everybody else. Remembering the days when there were students here at the University of Fort Hare. I'm now going to be joined by the leader of the ANC in this province, who's going to tell us about what he is remembering about Utatu Stofile. Oscar Mabuyane is the secretary of the ANC in the Eastern Cape. We know that Brastoff has been an icon of the ANC. He's a struggle stalwart. He joined the ANC many years ago and stayed true to this organization until his last day. What are your thoughts as we going to lay him to rest today?
We described our province as a province of home of legend. He's one of those legends across the socio-politically, socio-economic spectrum. He is a very decisive leader, a very leader that has been towering the leaders of his generation. He has actually been a father to all of us who have been here, we've been growing under his hand. We've been here in this university ourselves, with leading students. We always been actually summoned to come and appear before him when we do things that seeks to undermine and compromise the National Democratic Revolution. He has been quite one of those leaders that understand exactly what is the term selflessness mean? He would always go an extra mile to accommodate your interest at the expense of his interest. We have been nurtured well. He would always actually admonish and come across and tell us when we are doing wrong things. We are quite happy to have a life of his caliber sharing that has been cherished amongst us, and we think that we have learned a lot, and we should be able to take the spear from where he has left off and going. One of the things that one of the attributes that we always think about him is that even the ngexhosa ebengumuntu obengena ulayitwa ngetotshi engena battery ebengothuki. Was very clear, and he understood very what ANC is all about. He has developed within the ANC. ANC has been part of his family. We are quite happy and really expressing our gratitude to his family, to all people that have been, including his brothers. He has not been alone. Entire family has been part of the revolution, really fighting for the rights and the freedom that we are enjoying today.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Sabon.
All right, that's the Secretary of the ANC in this province of the Eastern Cape, Oscar Mabuyane, also on his thoughts about the role that Stofile played during his time, and also nurturing themselves as young leaders now who have just emerged to lead this organization. Well, my colleague Iviwe is on the other side of this complex. Iviwe, over to you.
Thank you, Tammy. Well, where we are down here, the academic procession has just made its way in. With me, I have Prof. Mayetiso, who's going to speak to us, just in terms of what kind of a colleague and friend was Stof, as well as, if you remember, Stof was elected earlier this year as the Chancellor of Fort Hare University. Tata, what do you remember most, Tatu Stofi?
Stof was more than a friend. He was almost a brother to me. We have been together since 1969 as students. When we arrived at Fort Hare in 1969 as students, together we led the student body. We crossed over together to staff. We together led the staff, and again we crossed over to government. When we went to the National Parliament as a chief whip, I became the first Minister of Finance in this province. And what I could say with Stof is that he was a courageous person. He lived not for himself, but lived for others. He genuinely believed in the liberation of our people. He was one of those who were more of a glue that was bringing us together as activists. We were together when we were trying to assist even those MK cadres who were coming to this province. He was ready to go. He's one of those who was so concerned about the life of our people. You remember he single-handedly went to New Zealand to stop the All Blacks from coming here. He was able to spend time in prison, and he's one of those people who was now currently, as a veteran of the African Congress, was very concerned about the way the ANC, for which was ready to die, was perceived by the community generally. Yeah.
Well, there we have it from someone who says Stof was more than just a friend to him. He was like family. You will remember that Stof earlier this year was, elected the Chancellor of Fort Hare University, and prior to that, he did lecture at Fort Hare University for about 15 years before he became the Premier of the Eastern Cape. But for now, I think let's check what Tammy is doing upstairs.
Thank you very much, Iviwe. Well, the sport complex now here is filling up with friends, colleagues, comrades, the residents of this little town of Alins on the banks of Tume River. They are now filling up this auditorium as the service is about to begin in the next 15 minutes. It's going to be a very tight program. It's very packed with speakers who are really going to substantiate on the life that Reverend Makhenkesi Stofile lived. It's going to be a very sad moment indeed. The flags of this country have been lowered at this point as the nation bids farewell to one of its struggle veterans, to one of its sons who have departed.